Something else that we should introduce at this point is that typically from here on out in this section, we're actually going to be using a different measurement for angles than degrees. So we're going to use something called radians, and there's a good chance that like half of you have your calculator set to those without knowing it. So radians are, again, they're nice for calculus, just like E and ln are nice for calculus, so are radians, and that's why we learn about them. So they're just another unit for angles. So what they're going to correspond to is instead of like thinking of this angle in this picture as like an angle in degrees, what we would think about is the distance you would travel along the circumference of a unit circle if you had traveled through that angle. And so if you were to go around the whole circle, so if you had theta is 360 degrees, then in radians, you would have the total circumference. So theta is the circumference, if we're thinking of this different unit, which is 2 pi r. And in this case, the radius is 1, so it's actually just 2 pi. So this is our conversion. 2 pi radians is 360 degrees, or we can clean that up to be pi equals 180 degrees. So that is our conversion to go back and forth from radians to degrees. So for these first few questions, we're going to convert these angles, which are currently given in radians. You'll see that radians don't have units. Pi is not the unit. Pi is the number 3.14 something something, but we just write pi because it's nicer. So to do these conversions on the left, what we're going to do is actually just sub the number in. That's pi equals 180. So this is going to be 7 times 180. I don't know what that is in my head, so I'll throw it in the calculator. It's 1260 degrees. That is a big angle. The next one, again, just plug in the 180. So I'll get 2 times 180 over 3. A lot of these will clean up quite nicely. You'll see that I can clean up the 180 over 3 and get 60 there. So 2 times 60 is 120 degrees. And then b equals 1. So for this one, I don't have a pi to just swap something in. So I'm not going to be able to quite do that. So instead of swapping this in, what I'm going to do is use these two conversion ratios. If pi equals 180 degrees, then pi over 180 degrees is 1. And similarly, 1 is the same as 180 degrees over pi. So if I'm trying to convert this thing into something that has degrees in it, what I'm going to need to do is multiply by this guy so that I get degrees out of the expression, right? I don't want to multiply by the other one because then I would be divided by degrees. And so I get this weird looking thing here. I'll just divide it. I get 57 point, roughly, let's say 3 degrees. So yeah, so one radian is about 57.3 degrees. It's kind of a super ugly number because remember, there's 2 pi of them in the total circle. So it's all ugliness. That's why we keep the pi's usually. On the right-hand side, all that we're going to do to go the other direction is use the other conversion ratio. So I'm going to multiply by this one. So I'll get 75 degrees times pi over 180. And so what's going to happen is the degrees should cancel out. And then all we're really going to do here is just clean up that 75 over 180 fraction. I think 15 is going to be the common denominator on the top and the bottom, I believe. Let's see, 75 divided by 15 is 5. And 180 divided by 15 is 12. Yeah. So I get 5 over 12 pi. And so that's how we would express it in radians. And notice there's no units written to this. It's the pi is not the unit, it's part of the number. And so for this other one, I'll do the same thing. 14.4 degrees times pi over 180. degrees. So that's going to be 14.4 pi over 180. I don't think 14.4 and 180 are going to come to a nice fraction. So I'm just going to multiply this out. Actually, let's look. Divided by 180. Yeah, if I actually get this as a decimal, what I'd have is 0.08 pi. And if I multiply that, it's just some ugly number, 0.2513. And again, no units. So you might want to write like rad at the end to tell yourself that that's in radians. But yeah, there's no pi anymore because I just multiplied it through. So we just want a little bit of a handle on going back and forth of these because a lot of the answers from here on out, I'm going to expect them to be given in radians. So you'll have to be able to go back and forth.